All right. People have told me I have to read The Boys in the Boat, and I did. I loved it. The person who recommended it to me first was a rower, and she had a lot of experience in this area. So, of course, the book really struck her in a particular way. She said it was life-changing. But even for someone who hasn't done rowing outside of like the rowing machine at the gym, I found that there were some really beautiful takeaways in this story. Number one, I loved that the main character in this book shows that you can overcome anything from your past or your family. There's a lot of studies that show, if you've experienced something, you're really likely to pass that experience on. So, people who have experienced abuse are at a higher risk of abusing other people. There's a lot of things that show this, but I remember seeing a meme once that said, "It ran in the family till it ran into me." And I think I love this kind of mindset of, yes, there can be hard things in our past, there can be difficult circumstances, but our childhood, our family, our experiences don't define us. They can impact us, but we get to decide where those things go. So it can run into the family till runs into me, and then we experience healing. This book, I wasn't expecting to have something kind of this hard hitting. Earlier on in the book, I almost quit just because the Joe Rance, the main character, goes through so many difficult things. He experiences abandonment as a child so many times that very naturally he struggles to trust people. And it was actually really painful reading it, but really beautiful to see how he overcame it, how he wasn't the same person who, he had experienced the figures he had trusted throughout his life had abandoned him. But who is he going to become despite that was really incredible. So watching his journey was a really interior, beautiful journey that I wasn't expecting from this story, but I loved. The second point that I thought was really good was just overcoming overcoming painful things can help you unfold into who you are supposed to be. And in this story, it does not shy away from the really tough times of these boys were the nine boys in the boat were rowing in freezing temperatures when the water, there was icicles hanging off of the boat and themselves. They were rowing in like really hot temperatures that they weren't used to in the rain, and ever even just rowing in general was incredibly painful. Anyone who's done sports, we get this. And this book does such a beautiful job illustrating the joy that can come from conquering that. And I think sometimes I ask myself, like when I start running, I've just started running again this spring. And sometimes I ask myself, like, why have I decided to do this? Because this is uncomfortable. And I think that this book is kind of an answer in part to that question of like, we do this because this makes us who we want to be. We like who we are on the other side of the obstacle, on the other side of the pain. We like who we are when there's something that blocks us and we jump over that. We push through it. And I think that this book just it illustrated it so beautifully of like, yeah, this is a really hard journey, but it is so worth it. And who you become through it is incredible. That's part of the healing process. And I think that that's such a beautiful thing that entering into that pain can actually help bring healing to other things. Like you show yourself who you are, how strong you are, how determined you are. And this book illustrated that really incredibly through Joe Rance, the main character, but also through the other boys in the boat as well, just showing how they were overcomers. And the third and final point that I really liked in the story was that we need to trust other people. And I think like it can be really easy to be cynical in this day and age where we're like, there's people are problematic, everyone's got a problematic idea or thing that they've done or whatever it is. So it can be a little easy to get a little bit cynical about humanity, and I think it's a bit of a cop out, really. This book illustrates that in Washington, where the boys were training, where the boys were from, there are a lot of amazing athletes. It's not a question about finding an amazing athlete in this story as much as what's a team that's going to work together and sync so perfectly that they're unstoppable. And that in sync movement, that working together as a team requires that they trust each other. And so there's a level of trust, surrender, friendship that is needs to happen if you're going to reach the really big goals, the things that are way outside of yourself, beyond yourself. In this story, of course, the protagonist who we talked about earlier, who had gone through so much suffering, this was a uniquely hard challenge for him to trust somebody again after having been abandoned so many times throughout his life. And so I felt like if he could do it, really anyone can. Like he'd gone through so many things and he had to learn this lesson of I'm gonna trust, I'm gonna be one with the team. I'm not an individual anymore. I'm one solid piece with the whole crew. This is such a beautiful metaphor for life outside of the boat. This is how we have to work together when people come together in a unique way. They're willing to trust each other. They're willing to work hard together. It's like we're greater than the sum of our parts. It's not just nine people getting together in this boat. Um, it's a crew that can show the world the values that they stand for. They went to the Olympics at a time where, right before World War II, at a time when people were trying to say that they were like Hitler was trying to say the Aryan race was superior. They stood for something else, and they were able to work together to make a bigger message, to get stronger. And so when we work together out, even outside of a sports event, the book is such a beautiful reminder that we can be greater than the sum of our parts. And yes, it takes trust. And that's really hard. Um, I think sometimes it's easier to just be cynical, but working towards that unity, that unison, within friendships, within relationships, and hopefully even within community, is so powerful and so transformative. So, anyways, that's my review, my takeaways from The Boys in the Boat. I hope you read it if you are looking for something inspirational. Maybe if you're looking to get back into a sport now that it's warming up, I definitely recommend this. But yeah, recommend it to anyone who's looking for something inspirational, to kind of help you focus. And I'm sure there's so many more takeaways that you can glean from this, but these were my main three. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.